Hello everybody and welcome back to the cavern. It's xBundok. Today we're changing it up and I am actually going to narrate while I'm filming. So get your laughs out now. Got a lot going on this week, so I don't have a paint with me video to put up, but I did have somebody suggest a video where I show everything I've painted so far. So I think that's what we're going to do. I'm not going to show everything that I've painted just because that would be a lot. But I think I'll show some things that I like, some things I hate, and just kind of go with the stage progress of it. So I used to paint a little bit quite a few years ago, and then I kind of let it go for a while. That's where all my paints are from. I just have them still sitting around. And I got back into it because my husband's like, hey, well, D&D, if you want to paint minis, we'll use minis, and I was sold. So my first paint, getting back into things, if you guys haven't figured out yet, I'm kind of obsessed with beholders. They're absolutely my favorite villain. And I love that D&D is actually getting popular now because now there's actual merch for it, even if my wallet isn't happy with that. So my first paint when I was getting back into everything was this guy right here, good old Death Tyrant. They didn't have the regular beholders in stock, and I'm not really fond of the zombie beholders, even though they had tons and tons of them. So this is the guy I picked up. Let me try. This is going to be the struggle for this video, is definitely lighting and focus. There we go. I just got a little clamp light, had to shift it there. So I was pretty happy with them, and I went back to the store. They had the regular beholder, and that's what we got. And I did do a video on this guy. I'm not going to do a whole lot of figures I've already done videos on just because it's kind of redundant. But that's the classic beholder coloring. The purple and orange or like pinkish kind of hue, just horrible, and I love it. I'm just a sucker for the original beholders. Insert right here. I'll try and remember to put a picture of a recent tattoo I got, which is the original beholder design, which I mean I'm obsessed with because he's terrifying if I would ever run into him, but he also seems like the kind of guy that would be embarrassed and not go out because when he went to go see a movie he said "you too" back right after, like, oh, enjoy your movie, oh, you too, and just was 1000% embarrassed and didn't come out of his hidey hole for weeks. So yeah, that's this guy here. And like I said, I just absolutely love how just ridiculous they are. I just do. So from there, I did a couple of other paints for practicing, but then I moved into figures for our campaign, our first campaign, and I still have a soft spot for him. But one thing I did think of for the anniversary of the channel, deciding to go in and redo them and see how it will come out. So there's our little halfling, our halfling fighter. I absolutely can't stand painting halflings because you see these giant bear mitts and you see this figure. I just don't like it. I remember the player, who is no longer in our group for reasons, suggested the colors, and then when I painted it, he's like, oh, he only looks like a hobbit. I'm gonna be like, yeah, that's what you asked for. Don't, is that like, go paint your own figure. This is our druid, which I'm always a sucker for any orange and brown hues. You can see I was still struggling with the right thinning and thickness of paint, trying to get light tones and dark tones, and obviously I was a sucker for gloss finish. Why, I don't know, but we're going to get into that later too. Here is our paladin, trying to do a little bit of blood detailing on him there. He's not bad. He made me realize that I hated grays a lot at the start. And a lot of my beginning paints, you'll see I put paint on just specific sections, and I know I'm going to try and get this to focus, and it's 50-50. There we go. You can see all the edges don't have paint on them. I would paint them to meet, but not get them full coated. And then we have my character, my little half-orc, Frankie Blizzard. I love him. He's precious. I always liked playing half-orc barbarians. It sounds dumb, but it's just like playing a Marine. I mean, that's all you have to do. And you can kind of see I had a little bit of blood detailing on his cloak there, but his paint with these, I don't know why the paint was coming off when I was doing the varnish on there. And I'd have to see if I just did coats too heavy or what I was doing with that. Now for the campaign, I ended up DMing our PCs. I did these, I want to say this was maybe 5 months after the other ones that I just showed you. And so this was my husband's character, half elf ranger, which I'm kind of down with, or was it a rogue? I don't know. They're always the same to me. Crucify me. I'm sorry. I just can't. I can never remember the difference. It's probably just because they both start with R. I really like how the tonalities on the cloak came out. I was exceptionally happy with that. And this was when I was finally kind of learning how to make the colors meet better, use washes differently versus just doing flat coats and then, you know, using the gloss wash to, sorry, the gloss, yeah, it's a gloss wash varnish combo, the army painter, the dip ones. I started finally getting into it a little bit more here to do with the wash and your varnishing separate. This is the same character that played the druid before. I wanted to druid again, and you know what? That's what he's a newcomer. This is only his second character. The other was his first. If he likes playing druids, let him play a druid. You know, the game is to make people happy. It's not it's not supposed to be work. And there you can see again a lot of naturals. I like the tonalities. I'm starting to figure out. This was probably the second or third piece that had the translucent plastic with it for the effects, which I don't really like for the mages and the sorcerers, which is the other PC. I again, still trying to figure it out. Not 100%. He wanted yellow and black, and this piece came off. So you could paint the figure and put this back on. I could not figure out how to get this piece off and on without it scraping the actual figure. So this entire arm I had to repaint because, I mean, the paint just scraped right off. But he was pleased with them, so, you know, I can't complain a ton. Let's see, who's next here? I gotta shift while I'm working. Oh, this guy. We'll go through Goristro next. He's got a little bit of dust on him, so, you know, forgive him. He was the first really, really big boy I painted, and I liked getting them because I could practice getting even coats and try texturing and things. Obviously, you can see there's not a lot on him with what I could have done for the size of this figure. You know, I was still learning, still new, but I like him. I like, you know, I got the yellow and gold variant there, and you can always do worse, and you can always learn. And that's my topic for the next one. My dad got me a figure for my birthday, and I painted it, and I thought he looked amazing when I first did him, and I hate how he looks now. Absolutely hate him. Am I going to repaint him? No. I'm going to tell you why. So maybe like what? I mean, look at how it just sits, and it pooled, and it wasn't cleared out. Yeah, he's dusty too. He's just a shelf sitter. we don't do. It's called Dungeons and Dragons. We've never fought a dragon, you know, and that's fine. But he's just kind of a shelf sitter. I don't like how he looks. I don't like how he turned out. I'll pull out just a little bit here so you can see a bit more of him, right? But here's the thing, and it's something I learned while I was in the military too. The same way that you can learn what you, for instance, your leadership, your bosses, your teachers at work, you're at school, you know, you learn things from good leaders that you want to emulate, and you also learn things from bad leaders that you never want to do. So this guy, I can look at, be like, oh, I really liked da-da-da, or I am never going to again, but-ba-da, right? It's the same idea. My creative writing teacher told me this in high school, and then it was also iterated by, ironically, Nick Cave. I know I brought him up at the end of the video. I'm sorry. My writing teacher always used to be the one that's like, bring a pen to class, which was amazing. In high school, you never you always pencil, always bring a pencil. She would always iterate to bring a pen. And the reason being is you can write everything down. If you don't want it, you scratch it out, but you can still see it. You can still read it. You can still go back to it and either use it in the future or find a way to work it in, or then decide you don't want it. It's the same way Nick says, he's like, I still use a typewriter. I don't like the digital typing because you can just delete everything and then all of it's gone, even if you want to pull all back on it. So it's the same thing with your figures. You can absolutely paint over them. There's some that I do. If I'm actively painting and I'm like, this is awful, I will completely paint over it. But my older figures that I don't like now, I love them then, and I can still learn from them. So they're going to hang around. All right, a bit later, I was getting a bit better. I've got a couple beholder variants here. There's the variant 1, right, which is gross. So this is when I was trying to start using the gloss finish for a technical effect, right? So this is a zombie one. I want him rotting. I want his skin slowing off. I want him to be absolutely disgusting. And this one, it's the same thing. I want the slimy feel. And so I went and used the gloss varnish. And I finally ended up learning. So I got this boy here. Hey, I don't need to use a gloss. You put silver on there, he looks shiny. You don't need to go out and about. You can do just a plain old matte varnish and he'll look fine, especially because this is probably the easiest figure to paint. It's gray and silver. That's it. Let's see, another one here. This guy's Meatball. He's a beholder from my campaign that my players never got to encounter because they never made the decision to go and see him. Very unfortunate. But I wrote him so that he is one where all of his plates had gotten ripped off and he's just actively dying. So I used the zombie variant of the beholder, but I painted him differently so it looks like more of him has fallen off versus just being undead. And you can let me know what you think. Let's see. Oh, I painted this guy a little bit ago. I like him. He's just a cool guy. You know, he's just ready to party. It makes me happy. My husband always describes everything I paint as disgusting, which I guess I should take as a compliment since, well, it's a goal achieved for how they're supposed to look. Let's see here. Oh, speaking of the Bob Ross vibe, we got our happy little tree, a little tree ant here with his mushrooms. Now, I used a gloss on him because when I started using the matte, I really didn't like how it turned out. So I got a little bit of gloss and a little bit of matte, and it stands out a lot more behind the camera than it does in person, which is interesting. Because matte, it just felt, I don't know, like I don't think of trees as shiny, but I guess they could be. I don't know. Y'all tell me what you think would be better for him. That's looking really dark there, isn't it? Let's see if we can. There we go. You can see a little bit more of his tones there. Now, one of the last ones I want to show you, because this video is already getting long. We're at like 13.5 minutes now. I apologize. And that's not all of them I even wanted to show you. So I'll make this one my last one, and I'm going to use it as an idea basis. So in my campaign, I had a dragon that I wanted to be more in the style of an Asiatic dragon. Now, if you go and look at all the Marvelous minis, you're not really gonna find one. At least not that I found. If you do, let me know. And I didn't have the money to spend on one for like off of Etsy, like an independent printer or anything like that. I just didn't want to. So, if any of you remember from your childhoods or your children's childhoods, going to a craft store or Michael's or a toy store, and you have that aisle that is all of the plastic figures, all the animals, like they call them the tubies. They were like the tubes that had tiny little people in them, and they also had unicorns, lions, dragons. So I went, they had a luck dragon. So I just painted him up. I'll put a picture down here of what he looked like when I originally bought him. So I just went, I primed him, and I just repainted him to kind of have the feel. He's supposed to be a bit of a magma-based dragon deep in a mountain, so that's why I went with the orange and gold and charcoal. And just again, get creative with it. You don't have to use the actual branded merchandise. It's not like, you know, I guess a Warhammer figurine where it has to be exact and things like that. You can't use a mock print. Now, I'm not saying to go and get, you know, obviously copied STLs and things like that, or you know, do molds and just mass produce not counterfeit, I guess, but plagiarized figures. But get curious, like go and get the ones that are made obviously for something else and use a free game, because this guy was on sale plus a coupon. I think I got him for like $4.50, $5. And so I have, you know, giant dragon figure, and I'll put him down there. He's still to scale, you know, and I'll get the red dragon in the background there. He still fits. He still works. I mean, there's no reason to not. You can also think, if they don't make something and you can't find anybody printing it, so we needed a zombie mastiff. Don't ask why. just a zombie mastiff. So we went and got the mastiff pack, the mount pack, and they had a shadow one there. So this originally had little swirlies coming off of them. You heat up a knife, you nub them off. You can use them as protruding bone and their flesh, you know, and eventually I'm going to get some glue so I can get the drool going down there. But you get creative with it. Don't be afraid to absolutely butcher something. Now, don't go out and buy a mini for, you know, an exorbitant amount of money just to tear it apart. I mean, or do, if you have that kind of disposable income, you know, I'm not going to judge. But yeah, get creative with it and enjoy it, and paint, you know, a ridiculous amount of beholders. Well, that's all I got for you guys today. Anybody celebrating the holiday this weekend, I hope you have a good one, or any other holidays coming up. There's, you know, a whole corridor of them going on right now. And I hope everybody, if you're traveling, travel safe. If not, stay at home, play some games, and enjoy yourself, and take care. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe.